small demonstration will now take place.
So this right here is the Hisense L5 laser TV short throw projector, and on the wall behind it is a 100-inch ambient light rejecting display, and that's also part of the system. It's a two-part deal here, and if you buy one of these, Hisense will actually set it up for you for free. Now, I actually did this myself, and if you can drill a few holes and use a spirit level, you can do it yourself as well. But first of all, let me highlight some of the key advantages this particular projector has over other projectors and over similarly sized LED TVs. So the number one problem with a traditional projector is the throw distance. So in order to get a screen this size with a traditional projector, you'd have to have the projector quite far away from the surface. And that means the light is further away from the surface as well, which means the picture will be dimmer, or the bulb will have to get way brighter to deliver the same results. And the second major problem with long throw projectors is if someone gets up and walks across between the surface and the projector, you're going to get this horrible shadow on the wall, completely ruining that cinematic experience that you bought the projector for. So this particular style of projector, the L5, is a short throw projector, meaning the light source is very close to the wall. That means it can be very bright. It doesn't have to overpower that bulb or that laser in order to deliver vivid and bright colors. And it also avoids the shadow problem because no one's really going to be walking in front of a short throw projector. And one thing I will highlight for you guys that you absolutely should know about if you're thinking about this particular projector is the distance from the wall needs to be about 30 centimeters, which means your TV stand needs to be quite deep. So if you are going to get one of these, you need at least a 60 centimeter deep TV stand, or the other option is you can actually mount this on the ceiling. Now, when it comes to advantages over 100-inch LED TVs or comparable size, even 85-inch TVs, is price. So the price of an 85-inch TV is going to be into the tens of thousands of pounds. And if you go for OLED, that's going to be even more. So this, the L5, is actually a bargain. So if you opt for one of these as opposed to a TV, you're going to save yourself thousands and thousands of pounds. And I think that's a good thing. So now we've got those key advantages out of the way, let's get into some of the important information you need to know about this particular projector. And let's start with the inputs. So on the back of the Hisense L5 are a ton of input options, including 4 HDMI ports, all of which support 4K at 60 Hz. They are HDMI 2.0 ports, and one of them is an ARC port, which means that particular HDMI port can output audio back down a HDMI cable to a soundbar or sound system. I have the Sonos Arc hooked up to it, and one of the great things here is because the L5 supports Dolby Digital Plus, it also supports Dolby Atmos, so it can output Dolby Atmos to the Arc and my 5.1 system here in my living room. So it's like a true cinema sound experience with just one cable. Now, if you want to go a bit more old school, there is the optical output, which will support 5.1 surround, which is also awesome. And you'll also notice there is the option to use composite cables. There's even a VGA input here as well. So you can connect computers and laptops and this kind of stuff to do presentations, as well as a couple of USB ports. There's also an Ethernet input, which means you can hardwire the L5 to your internet if you want that faster, more stable connection. However, there is also Wi-Fi built in. And check this out, if you wanted to, you can even plug in terrestrial TV antennas and satellite dishes. So if you're wondering, yes, it does have its own TV tuner built in. And this particular British model has free view play. Now, when it comes to the actual onboard controls, there's very few. In fact, there's only one, and it's the power button, which can be also used to switch input sources as well with a slightly longer push. And I really like the remote that comes with it. It's kind of encased in this anodized aluminium. It's got a nice weight to it. It doesn't feel cheap. And there's a bunch of shortcut buttons across the bottom here to some of the most popular streaming services. And there's also a microphone button here, which activates the mic on board the remote, so you can use Google Assistant or Alexa to control the system. And check this out. This is something I really like here. This little eject button pops the battery tray out. These little things make the difference. So you're probably thinking, what if I lose this remote and all I've got is the power button on board? How am I going to use it? Well, you can actually use your phone to control the L5 as well. So going back to the design on this laser TV itself, it uses a laser light source so not a bulb like a traditional projector. And Hisense say this laser will last over 25,000 hours, and that's the equivalent of playing this thing 365 for 3 years without ever turning it off. So it should last you a good amount of time. So this powerful laser beams out of the top of the L5, and there's a proximity sensor and safety software on board, so if something gets a little too close to that light source, it will auto shut down for you. Although I will say, having set this up myself, it's a little bit annoying when you're trying to adjust the angles and it keeps switching off, so you'll probably want to switch that off whilst you're doing the initial setup and then switch it back on after. And on the topic of setting this up, it does have adjustable feet on each corner so you can get the angles right and line it up with the screen properly. And also the screen itself has these rods down the back that allow you to tilt the corners up and down. So if you didn't get it right with the spirit level the first time, you can adjust it after the fact if you want to. And I'm not going to get into too much detail about the calibration software, but you can actually take a picture of the screen following the instructions on the Hisense projector, and it'll actually auto adjust the edges for the frame that it needs to fit into. And you can also do it manually as well. There's plenty of other videos showing that, so I'm not going to add that in this one. So now let's talk about the usability aspects of this TV now. This is running on Hisense's own Vida U 4.0. It's very similar to Android TV in the sense that everything's in these really nice organized rows, so you can go up and down and look through the apps at a glance and see what's new and stuff like this. You can customize it as well. It's very intuitive, it's very easy to use, and it will be very familiar to anybody who's ever used a smart TV in recent years. And one of the things that really impresses me about this is the load speed. So let me show you this. On the remote, we have the dedicated buttons. Let me click YouTube. That snaps open immediately, super quick. If stuff is already running in the background, of course, it's going to be a bit quicker. But if it needs to boot from scratch, even though it's not open in the background, it's still surprisingly quick. So load speeds, fantastic. In terms of user interface, super easy to use. And what I want to show you now is just some of the key things that you should know about this particular TV and the settings you have. So you can go into the system settings and you can adjust the picture modes. So right now I've got the standard picture mode. I really like this mode. It seems like the most well balanced of all of them. If you go to Cinema Day, what it does is it kind of puts this orangey hue over the picture and brightens the image up. If you go to Cinema Night, you'll notice it's a little bit darker, same kind of color scheme. And if you go dynamic, it goes incredibly vivid, very much like what you would see on a Samsung TV. You've got a sports mode, which is very good. I was watching the Euros with this projector, and this mode is perfect for when you're watching football and stuff like that. And you can get right into the picture settings and adjust all this kind of stuff as much as you want to. That's fantastic. But something I want to show you that was really important for me and I really enjoyed was the gaming mode. So if you go into the settings, you go to the gaming mode, you can actually toggle this on and it will reduce the latency significantly. I did play Warzone on it and it handles it really well, and it really does just look epic. And check this out, if you're worried about your eyesight, this is TÜV Rheinland low blue light certified, which means it's not going to damage your eyes. So now let's talk about what I consider to be the most important aspect of any TV or projector. It's the picture quality. Now, some of you guys might be buying this to watch movies and some of you might be buying it to watch sports. And if you guys saw my Twitter or my Instagram, I was watching the Euros on this projector, and you probably want to know how it handles fast moving action. And from my experience of working in the TV industry, one of the things that I noticed a lot on LED TVs in particular, especially when you go big like this, 85 inches and up, is the motion blur becomes a bit of a problem. The good news here with the L5 is actually it handles fast-paced movement really well, and there's even some settings in the software that allows you to adjust this to your taste. And you can even go in and manually adjust it as well if you want to. And I was watching the football via Sky Q, which is connected to the projector, and it was only outputting a 1080 interlaced signal. And if you feed a 1080p signal into this, it will be even smoother. So when it comes to sports, this thing works really well. Now with that said, I would say the true strong point of the Hisense L5 is this color output. When you run Dolby Vision content through this, in a pitch black environment, that's when you're going to see this reach its full potential. Now let's talk about daylight viewing, the Achilles heel of almost all projectors. The Hisense light rejecting panel has this kind of matted finish to it and this grey tone. So no matter what angle light is hitting that display, it reduces that glare significantly. And that's something you might see a lot on a traditional TV with a glass front. Also, the L5's laser light source has a 2500 lumens output, which should overpower any light glares coming from windows or even ceiling lights. So I must say I'm super impressed with the Hisense L5 TV. It's far too big for this room that I'm watching it in. I'm sitting at around 2.5 meters away and it's very watchable. I've been watching quite a bit of Cobra Kai. Nobody told me how good that series is. I've been binge watching that, and in 4K, this thing looks really, really good. If you guys want to get into the real fine details about the color gamuts and the refresh rates and how it handles 4K and all this kind of stuff, I'll link another video that will explain all of that in great detail for you guys. In this video, I just really want to highlight the main things you need to know if you're thinking about buying one. And I hope I've done that. And if you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. And if you just subscribed, you are now one of the finest subscribers known to man. Check out this video on the Sonos Arc. It's a great combination for this projector. I definitely recommend it. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next one. Don't be late.
I feel as if I'm awakened in some future age. Such equipment.